Well, this reminds me of a story that started last year, and you had somebody playing. I'm going to call it rate chicken, or rate roulette, and it feels like if I'm going to be getting into the housing market, I want there is a sense of urgency. It sounds like, and and I want you to tell us about that. Those people who said, hey, we're going to wait until such and such a thing because we have a target that we want to get to, and then tell us what happened and the result of that.
Yeah, that it turned out to be a very interesting story. It was a homeowner who approached me about a refinance. She did alert me that they had used another originator on multiple occasions in the past, and that they were in discussions with that originator to refinance their property. But she had heard about us and our services and had gotten good feedback about what we could do, and so she reached out to me to see what I could do in terms of competing with her lender. And so I asked a few questions, and one of the things I found out early on in the discussions is, frankly, I was startled by what she was being told as to what's possible in terms of a refinanced rate. Now, they were on an adjustable rate mortgage that had adjusted and was up close to 8%. And at the time we started this discussion, mortgage rates had improved a fair amount. In fact, this was at a period when we could do a refinance of a conforming loan and offer a rate a little bit under 6%.
Wow.
And when I told her that, she was skeptical because she told me they had been offered a rate at 7%, but it was at
Mm.
no closing costs. And of course, in their mind, that was a benefit because it was almost 1% lower than what their ARM loan had adjusted to. And well, I'm careful not to criticize the competition. I was relatively forceful about telling her that they were essentially getting ripped off, that
Mm.
a 7% rate in that environment at the time was way, way above market. And one of the things I pointed out was it underscored the fact that that originator, who I believe was a broker like we are, was offering that rate because they had a much higher lender paid compensation arrangement with the lenders they delivered loans to.
Mm.
Because as we've talked about in the past, as a broker, we get paid by the lender, generally speaking, and we have to declare in advance how much we want to get paid on each loan. And the range goes from 1% up to 2.5% of the loan amount. Well, our lender paid comp with most of our lenders is at 1%. So I suggested to her that if she's being offered 7%, that broker's lender paid comp must be substantially higher than ours, and that he was probably getting compensated at least double, if not more, than what we would be willing to be compensated for the same transaction. So I provided her a written closing cost worksheet spelling it all out. The rate was 5 7/8. There was no points, no origination fee, no lender fees, no broker fees. I sent it to her. Initially, she didn't react to it. She actually thought that I wasn't being truthful
Mm.
with my quote, and in part that was because the other brokers in her ear saying, "Hey, that can't be. That's not possible. They can't do that. There's no way they can do that." And then I guess she did some other checking around. Same thing. She found she couldn't find any other rate quotes out of there online or wherever that matched what I had to offer. And then I ended up finding out that she, in fact, had gone as far as applying with that other broker, and they actually had an appraisal done.
Mm.
And then things moved away a little bit. Then it came back again. So I took another run at her. Hey, it's still here. Here's the worksheet again. I can still do this. At that point, they were willing to give me a try. And of course, part of what we did is, which is not well known with the consumers out there, is that we had the appraisal transferred to us. So she didn't have to get another appraisal. And then as a consequence, um, we were able to go ahead and follow through in getting that loan done. Now, we ran into a problem during the process where it turns out they had solar with that company that went bankrupt over the summer,
Mm. Mm.
SunPower. And there's a particular document we have to get from a solar company to subordinate to the refinance. Well, there were horror stories going on where SunPower was taking weeks and weeks, even a month or two, to provide that. it was jeopardizing our closing because we had the rate locked. We were approaching the rate lock expiration. So I had to take some extra steps to talk to the title company, see how we could get around the documents we needed from SunPower. They were able to provide us a supplement to the title report that allowed us to continue with closing. And the only other thing I had to do is I had to go to the lender and basically request, frankly, beg and plead to give us an extension on the rate lock at no cost to the homeowner, the borrower, due to the reasons of SunPower being bankrupt, et cetera. And thankfully they agreed and gave us the extra time we needed to close that loan, so that their locked rate terms didn't change, and they got what we promised, and so it worked out very well.